Hello, very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin with this morning's headlines. Ahead of the assembly elections in Bihar, former Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi joins the NDA, pledges to defeat Nitish and Lalu alliance in the state. Industrial production data for April set to come out today amid concerns of a slump in output rate. Consumer price index for May also to be released today. High alert sounded in northeast states over intelligence reports that more militants are trying to enter India. Minister Jitendra Singh takes stock of the security situation in Manipur. Assam flood situation remains grim as number of affected crosses 3 lakhs. Over 700 villages hit amid heavy rains. And pressure on Greece to meet its deadline for bailout deal. IMF and EU warn that time for negotiations are running out. Well, the stage is set for the assembly polls in Bihar. On one side is the grand alliance of the JDU, RJD, Congress and NCP. And on the other is the BJP-led NDA. The BJP has got a shot in the arm with the former Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi extending support to the party. Seat sharing will be the biggest bone of contention, and given the changing social equation, the BJP could be forced to give in to demands from its allies. Here's more.
Former Bihar Chief Minister and leader of the Hindustani Awam Morcha, Jitan Ram Manjhi, will fight the Bihar Assembly polls as part of the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. The announcement came after a meeting between Manjhi and BJP President Amit Shah.
15 तारीख को हम कोर कमेटी की बैठक पटना में करने जा रहे हैं। उसमें हम लोग विचार कर रहे हैं कि कहां-कहां हमारा सीट बढ़िया बन रहा है।
Manjhi's motivation behind allying with the BJP seems to be just one: defeating his one-time mentor Nitish Kumar.
हर हालत में हम लोग उस गठबंधन को डिफाई करें, उसके लिए हम लोगों को जहां तक जैसे जो कन्विंसिंग एटीट्यूड से जो भी करना होगा एक दूसरे को मदद करेंगे।
However, seat sharing could prove to be the biggest problem in this alliance. Manjhi will demand his pound of flesh, and given the shifting social equation in the state, BJP may have to give in to pressure from its newest ally.
हमने स्पष्ट कहा, सुशील मोदी जी ने भी शायद किसी इंटरव्यू में कहा है, मैंने भी कहा था कि मोदी जी अपना फैसला करें, हम उनका स्वागत करेंगे।
The BJP also met its other allies on Thursday to discuss the upcoming polls. The partners do not seem too concerned about Nitish Kumar being declared the CM candidate.
उनके कहने से हम घोषित करेंगे क्या? उन्होंने घोषणा किया है तो 29 मार्च को घोषणा कर दिया है, तो घोषणा कर दिया तो फिर क्यों कहते हैं कि हमने जहर पिया है? भारतीय जनता पार्टी जब भी चुनाव का ऐलान होगा उससे पहले कई जगह हम लोग मुख्यमंत्री के पद का ऐलान करते हैं, कई जगह नहीं करते। तो पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड इस पर निर्णय करेगा कि कौन मुख्यमंत्री होगा।
With this alliance, the BJP will be hoping to reach out to Dalits, who constitute about 22% of the Bihar population. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this morning to talk about the equations in Bihar is Sanjeev Ratan Singh, senior journalist. Morning, Sanjeev. Thank you for joining me on the program.
Morning, Frank.
You know, Jitan Ram Manjhi has extended his full support to the BJP now ahead of the polls in Bihar. Is this really going to be a shot in the arm considering the caste equations in Bihar for the NDA?
Well, of course, I mean, on the one hand, it is a shot in the arm, as you said. But on the other hand, it also shows the sort of, anxiety within the BJP camp. With Jitan Ram Manjhi coming, it is going to just add more to the rainbow of the coalition that BJP has. And that they've been forced to do so, whether they like it or not, is because of the Janata Parivar coming together. Now, if you just talk about numbers, in plain numbers, the kind of the voting percentage that happened in the Lok Sabha elections where BJP swept the entire state of Bihar, the numbers are still ratcheting up in favor of the Janata Parivar alliance. And I guess that is the main reason why, BJP does not want to take any chance. And the addition of Jitan Ram Manjhi will definitely help their cause in the run-up to the election.
The key is the BJP does not want to take any chances, and that means somewhere the BJP is a little weary about this grand alliance between RJD, JDU, the Congress and NCP. So all the anti-BJP forces seem to have come together in Bihar, and they seem to be sending out a message as well, isn't it?
Of course. I mean, if you just look at the sort of elections that we've been seeing, the BJP just steamrolled over everyone during the Lok Sabha elections. But when the opposition tends to unite, then you will see, the vote either falling for pro-BJP or anti-BJP. So the anti-BJP vote has consolidated. Whether it works out in terms of numbers, we'll have to wait and see. But now both sides are almost equally balanced. It's all about whichever coalition has better adaptability or adjustability with their partners. They may be the ones who have the advantage in the election.
Do you see any hiccups along the way? Probably seat sharing could be one of the biggest bone of contentions as far as both the alliances are concerned.
See, the more partners you add, the more demands you have to deal with, and I guess that was the biggest reason why the BJP took so much time to decide on what to do with Jitan Ram Manjhi. Now both sides have similar problems. We've seen NDA allies like the RLSP and LJP asking for RLSP is asking for 40 seats, LJP for 80 seats. So if you have to adjust your allies, then you have to somewhere bring down your the bargaining power. So the bargaining chip of the BJP goes down. So it's really all about managing it. And as of now, I think on both sides they have similar problems. So which is why whichever coalition can have better adaptability, they'll perhaps run away with the advantage.
The Mahagathbandhan has already announced its chief ministerial candidate. It's going to be Nitish Kumar. What about the BJP? Do you expect the NDA to announce a chief ministerial candidate before the polls, or do you see it going the Haryana or the Maharashtra way, where after the elections the chief ministerial candidate is announced?
I think the NDA will perhaps wait for the elections to get over before they can decide, because firstly, the seat sharing has not happened. Secondly, there are too many hopefuls within the various parties who would like to become chief minister. So, all these things at the moment can be swept under the carpet for them to go. And plus, the sort of alliance that they've got, we are going to see a lot of, the secular alliance talking about Nitish Kumar and the work he's done. So, to counter that, it's better not to have a face right now and talk about Narendra Modi and his developmental work, rather than put on the face and then give the Janata Parivar an option to target that particular person.
All right. Sanjeev, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for putting things into perspective for us. Interesting polls ahead. Remains to be seen what happens. Too early to call it right now, but we'll keep our eyes wide open for what's going to happen in Bihar.
Thank you.
Well, moving on now, the index of industrial production and consumer price index data are set to come out today. Official data released last week showed that output of India's 8 key infrastructure industries, which together contribute about 38% to industrial production, declined by 0.4% from a year earlier in April. 6 of these industries contracted, with natural gas, crude oil and cement leading the decline. Meanwhile, the CPI data for the month of May is also scheduled to be unveiled today. CPI-based inflation for April eased to 4.86%, the lowest in 4 months, on the back of another month of declining food prices. Ahead of the IIP and CPI data release, the market saw one of the biggest slumps on Thursday. Sensex lost 469 points to end at 26,371 points, its lowest level in over 7 months. The Nifty ended below the 8,000 mark to close at 7,965 for the first time in over 7 months. Let's shift focus now. A high security alert has been sounded across the northeast after reports that NSCNK militants have entered India for revenge attacks following the army strike at insurgent camps. This comes after the Home Minister, Defence Minister, NSA and intelligence officials conducted a review of the operation yesterday. MOS in the Prime Minister's office, Jitendra Singh, was in Manipur to take stock of the security situation. Here's a detailed report.
A high-level meeting was held in Delhi on Thursday, where intelligence inputs were shared about the surgical strikes by the army against militants near the Myanmar border. The meeting was chaired by Home Minister Rajnath Singh and attended by Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, NSA Ajit Doval, Vice Chief of Army Lieutenant General Philip Campos. Meanwhile, on Prime Minister Modi's instructions, MOS in his office, Jitendra Singh, was in Manipur to take stock of the situation. He met Chief Minister Okram Ibobi Singh during his visit and assured development in the region to tackle militancy.
The Government of India considers the development of Northeast very high on the agenda, and incidents like the one happened the 4th of June tend to interfere with the pace of development, particularly at a time when under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, Northeast is moving at a very fast track, and therefore all of us, to whichever field we belong to, should try to contribute ourselves in ensuring that such incidents do not happen again, and in order to ensure that we have an atmosphere of peace and tranquility where the fruits of development can be accomplished in the most optimum fashion.
The meeting also took note of the NSCNK's attempt to target security forces since 4th June when militants killed 18 Jawans in Manipur. High alert has been issued in the northeast states after a high-level meeting on Thursday. According to reports, a group of militants are trying to cross the Indo-Myanmar border to launch a counter-strike after Tuesday's operation. With inputs from Vishal Daya, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Assam has been badly hit by floods following heavy rains for the past few days. According to official figures, more than 3 lakh people in over 700 villages across the state have been affected. Brahmaputra River is still flowing above the danger level, forcing to maintain a high alert for more flooding.
People in Assam have been left helpless as heavy rains worsen the flood situation in the state. Several districts have been submerged due to the rising water levels and strong currents in the Brahmaputra River. Victims are reaching out to the government for help. The number of affected has already crossed 3 lakh in over 700 villages. At least 2 people have died in Bongaigaon and Lakhimpur. Authorities have opened 3 relief camps in Tinsukia and 1 each in Sonitpur, Nalbari and Dibrugarh to provide shelter to the displaced. The water level in Brahmaputra River crossed the warning level in Guwahati as it flows at least 0.2 meter above the warning level mark of 48.68 meters. Barpeta district accounts for the highest number of affected people. Golpara too reported severe damage and losses with 68,000 affected. More than 10,800 hectares of crop area has been destroyed, causing heavy losses to farmers. The flood waters also submerged some areas in Kaziranga National Park. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now take a look at what else is making news across the country in our segment Nationwide. Amid its bitter confrontation with Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung, the Delhi government effected a major bureaucratic reshuffle involving as many as 25 senior officials. The government divested Shakuntala Gamlin of the post of Principal Secretary for Industries weeks after her appointment by the Lieutenant Governor as Delhi's acting Chief Secretary. Gamlin will continue as Principal Secretary PAR. The other officers involved in the reshuffling are Chetan B. Sanghi, Ramesh Tiwari and Z.U. Siddiqui among others. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana Governor ESL Narasimhan met Prime Minister Narendra Modi against the backdrop of a raging row between the twin states over alleged phone tapping of Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu. The two leaders also discussed the agenda of development of the two states. The Maharashtra Anti-Corruption Bureau has registered an FIR against former state PWD Minister Chhagan Bhujbal and 16 others in connection with alleged irregularities in the construction of the new Maharashtra Southern building in Delhi. This is the second FIR to be filed by the ACB against Bhujbal this week. The Maharashtra ACB, however, has said that there is no need to arrest Chhagan Bhujbal and others in the alleged corruption case. 32 candidates are in the fray after scrutiny for the June 27th by-election for the Radhakrishnan Nagar constituency from where Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha is contesting. The election is expected to be a cakewalk for the Chief Minister, who is seeking to represent a city seat for the first time in her political career. All major opposition parties including the DMK, BJP, Congress, MDMK and PMK have announced boycott of the by-poll, alleging that the ruling party would use money power. Polling is on June 27th and counting will be taken up on June 30th. Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come. The International Monetary Fund increases pressure on Greece over debt repayment. That and much more on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hello and a warm welcome to our special report, the program that brings you a ground zero view from whichever part of the country the Rajya Sabha TV cameras are travelling. It is the same village where the Telangana agitation actually began. We at Rajya Sabha TV bring you the first pictures of the landfall site. This is the main nerve center where the legal battle for the Kaveri water dispute began. When you are moving around this Niyamgiri hill area, there are 41 streams like these which you have to cross.
No one understands India better than we do. Watch special report only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the Bombay High Court is set to hear Nestle India's plea against FSI's ban on its product Maggi. Nestle had filed a case yesterday to review the orders passed by the food safety regulator banning the sale, production and distribution of Maggi noodles. The company has also raised issues of interpretation of the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2011. The FSI had banned 9 variants of Nestle's Maggi from the market for being hazardous to public health. According to FSI, the 3 major violations are the presence of lead in excess of the maximum permissible levels, misleading labeling information on the package on MSG, and release of a non-standardized product. Let's now take a look at what's lined up for today in our segment, The Day Ahead. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will review the performance of public sector banks and financial institutions today. He will hold a quarterly review meeting of the CEOs of the PSUs and financial institutions. He will also review the progress of 3 social security schemes, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Atal Pension Yojana, among others. The Supreme Court will take a call on pleas seeking reconduct of the All India Pre-Medical Entrance Test. The Apex Court had stayed the declaration of results till today after alleged irregularities in the May 3rd exam. A French court is set to deliver a verdict in the pimping trial against former IMF chief Dominique Strauss-Kahn. The trial in February included details about whether Strauss-Kahn took a principal role in planning sex parties and whether he knew the women attending them were prostitutes. If convicted, the one-time French presidential hopeful could face 10 years in prison and a fine of up to 1.5 million euros. Well, Russia celebrates its National Day today. This day in 1990, the first Congress of the People's Deputies of the Russian Federation adopted the declaration of state sovereignty of the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. The United States has congratulated Russia on the day. India's President Pranab Mukherjee has also sent his greetings. Well, Greece is working overtime to cut a deal with its international creditors for the final bailout funds, as IMF and EU lenders warn that the time for negotiations is long gone. Greek Prime Minister Tsipras said that his government would keep trying to bridge differences. Here's more.
Building pressure on Greece to reach a compromise deal over the debt crisis, the international creditors left talks in Brussels amid major differences. The European Union Commission warned Greece that there is no time left for gambling and that a decision must be reached on the cash for reforms deal to avert an international economic disaster.
We need decisions, not negotiations now. And it's my opinion that Greek government has to be, I think, a little bit more realistic. There's no more space for gambling. There's no more time for gambling. The day is coming, I am afraid, that someone says that the game is over, in fact.
There are major differences between us in most key areas. There has been no progress in narrowing these differences recently, and thus we are well away from an agreement.
But the Greek government held its ground. Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras said the government is still working to reach a deal with its creditors. Greece has rejected the creditors' demands for cuts in pensions and labour reforms as conditions for releasing frozen bailout funds.
We keep working in order to come in an agreement. We're working in order to bridge the remaining differences, and especially the differences in the fiscal and in the financing issue. And we are working in order to assure an agreement, to come in an agreement which will assure that Greece will recover with social cohesion and viable public debt.
There have been intense negotiations over the last week. Tsipras held talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President François Hollande late on Wednesday. Next week's meeting of Eurozone finance ministers in Luxembourg will be crucial for all sides. Greece is at risk of defaulting on its 1.5 billion euros debt repayment due at the end of the month. Last week, Greece had decided to bundle up its 4 payments and repay the full sum in June end. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a look now at what else is making news across the globe in our World Wrap. Twittering Chief Executive Officer Dick Costolo abruptly announced that he was stepping down amid increasing scrutiny of the company's slow user growth and inability to attract advertisers at the same rate as its competitors. Costolo will be replaced by co-founder Jack Dorsey on an interim basis. Costolo, who will step down on July 1st, will continue to serve on the board. Chinese President Xi Jinping met Myanmar's opposition leader and Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi in Beijing during her first visit to the country. While it is rare for Xi to meet senior foreign opposition politicians, China has been keen to engage Suu Kyi, whose National League for Democracy party is expected to do well in a general election in November, the first free vote in Myanmar in 25 years. A French prosecutor formally opened a criminal inquiry into March's Germanwings plane crash to investigate whether mistakes were made in monitoring the psychological health of the co-pilot. A preliminary report into the crash of the A320 in the French Alps that killed 150 people found co-pilot Andreas Lubitz deliberately steered the plane into a mountain. China sentenced its powerful former domestic security chief Zhao Yongkang to life in jail after he was found guilty at a closed-door trial of bribery, leaking state secrets and abuse of power in China's most sensational graft scandal in 70 years. Zhao, who was formally charged in April, was tried in the northern city of Tianjin on May 22nd. He admitted his guilt and decided not to appeal against the verdict. Let's now take a look at what's happening in the world of sports in our sports beat. India and Bangladesh will be hoping for some play on the third day of the one-off test today after rain washed out the entire second day's play in Fatula. More rain is predicted today, raising chances that the match could end in a tame draw. Indian openers dominated the first day of the match that was also interrupted by rain. Shikhar Dhawan scored 150, supported by Murali Vijay, who scored 89 runs. India are comfortably placed at 239 for no loss after winning the toss and electing to bat first. The Indian football team went down fighting against Oman in a home leg match of the 2018 World Cup preliminary qualification round in Bengaluru yesterday. India lost 2-1 to a team ranked 40 places above it in the FIFA chart. Oman got the lead through Qasim's side in the early seconds of the match. However, Sunil Chhetri equalized with a superb goal in the 26th minute. Imad Al-Husseini scored the winning goal for Oman through a penalty. There was disappointment for India as the referee disallowed an equalizer by Robin Singh, who was adjudged offside. India will travel to Oman for their away match on June 16th. Host Chile began their quest for a maiden Copa America title with a 2-0 victory over Ecuador in Santiago. Midfielder Arturo Vidal was brought down in the box by Miller Balanos in the second half and picked himself up to convert the penalty for Chile. Eduardo Vargas netted the second goal for the host. Chile has never won the competition in its 99-year history, coming runners-up on 4 occasions. 2 times Wimbledon champion Rafael Nadal overcame Marcos Baghdatis in Stuttgart as he attempted to get his season back on track. down to 10th in the world rankings. Nadal beat Bagdaitis 7-6, 6-7, 6-2 on grass to reach the Mercedes Cup quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, Nadal will face Australian 5th seed Bernard Tomic, who saw off Tommy Haas 7-6, 6-2. Well, British actor Christopher Lee is no more. He was 93. He died in a hospital while undergoing treatment for respiratory problems. Here's more.
Horror master and renowned film villain Christopher Lee, who devoted his long career to portraying horror film villains, passed away in London after being admitted for respiratory problems and heart failure.
You should have done that when you first saw me. But then, of course, the English don't consider it sporting.
The British actor achieved fame from the late 1950s into the 1970s, playing characters such as Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and the Mummy for Hammer Films. In recent times, the audiences loved him in the blockbuster series of Star Wars and The Lord of the Rings. Friends and actors paid tribute to the star as news of his death came in.
Perhaps a million times, you know. We even played golf together, you know, which was a strange thing. Alice Cooper and Christopher Lee playing golf together. How weird was that? And then you think about it, the guys in the same league as Vincent Price and Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. You're talking about very few guys that you can name in that category.
World renowned. I mean, I haven't seen his work in a really long time, but 93, I hope he lived a really good life, because you think in 93 someone's lived the life that they want.
I remember like all these like Hammer movies he was in, and that you know, those movies were part of like inspiration of stuff that we wanted to do like later on in life also. Like I used to watch as a kid like all the horror movies from the Hammer, and it was great. I mean, speechless. That's what I meant. And sad day.
Lee took up acting on the suggestion of a cousin after serving in the Royal Air Force in World War II. Acting in over 200 films, the legendary actor's career spanned more than 5 decades. Lee was most closely associated with the role of the blood-sucking vampire Dracula, playing the character in 9 films from 1958 to 1976. Despite being a master of the horror genre, Lee did not even like the word horror in real life and preferred the word fantasy instead. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.